Welcome to the Hub on Hollywood podcast. I'm your co-host, James Rojas. On this week's episode, we are taking a tour of the nearly 100-year-old Capitol Theater in Arlington, Massachusetts. We're checking out its past, present, and future as it enters the age of solar energy. But first, we are throwing it over to Jame Blanco, who is interviewing a young talent and rising star who appears in the new Zendaya movie Challengers, which, was filmed right here in Massachusetts.
All right, and I am here with Jaden Onwuakor, a very accomplished young man. Jaden, how old are you?
I am 13 years old.
Wow. Okay, and you are a young actor, a model. You're a co-host on NESN's Clubhouse, which is the local sports network down here. And most recently, you got to play in a very exciting role as Zendaya's brother in the movie Challengers that just hit theaters. So there's so much that I want to talk to you about. But why don't we start there? So tell us a little bit about that process leading up to getting cast in Challengers, and then we'll talk about being on set. So what did it take to become Zendaya's brother?
So obviously, you have to kind of build up to get to like movies. So obviously through connections and then auditioning and all that,
Uh-huh.
and like the director liking like your profile. That's typically how I got in.
And when did you know that was the role? Did you know that it was just background, or did you know that you were going to be Zendaya's brother?
Um, I was told that it was background from my mother.
Hmm.
So I was really excited though, because she said Zendaya was in it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So yeah, I was super stoked for it.
awesome. So walk us through what that the filming days were like going on set, and you did get to meet Zendaya, right?
Yes, I did get to meet Zendaya. The first few shoots I did were at night, so it was really cool.
Hmm.
Um, Kind of like a party scene or such.
Yeah.
I was just standing there in the background, and near the end of the night, I believe, on either the second or the first, I got to meet Zendaya. She
Hmm.
said hi, and she was so pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was so cool.
yeah. And so you've been a big fan of hers for a while, right?
Yes, especially the Spider-Man movies. Seeing her like gradually going through all the movies, it's oh my gosh.
So that was kind of a moment for you.
Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. So that's wonderful that she was, so kind to you on set. And so how long did you work on this project in total? Was how many days?
About 3 or 4 days.
Okay. All right. And this is not the first big movie that you've been in. You actually had a principal role in a different big movie that came out not too long ago, filmed here in Massachusetts. Was that Don't Look Up?
Yes, it was filmed in Boston. My you know the famous iconic bridge in Boston?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I had to be sequestered for 8 days because it was mid-pandemic when it was filming.
Mm-hmm.
I had the bridge in view. I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And then yeah, after that, I went to go work for one day, and then I was done.
Oh, wow. That's right. So they had sequestered you for an entire week just for that one day of shooting.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and I have talked to a lot of people who did get to work on Don't Look Up, and that was filmed in the dead smack middle of the pandemic. Tell us a little bit about what your role was on there. So where can people see you in the movie?
So I was a Ishmael child aide.
Uh-huh.
Uh, During one of the presentations, like of the new Bash phone in the movie, I was with Sir Mark Rylance.
Hmm.
and really cool. There were extras like in the crowd, like in front, because it was a stage, and I got to meet the director as well. There
Right.
were also two other kids, uh, both female, and I had a giant script to memorize. Unfortunately, they cut out most of it.
Oh,
I had an entire paragraph or so, and it was all gone.
oh, that's okay. That happens to a lot of actors. But you did get a line in the movie. Is that right? I remember seeing you speak.
Yeah, it was literally just bye, Peter.
Okay.
That was it. And then some of my friends at school, when they saw my scene, they're like, "Oh, you just said bye, Peter." I'm like, "Yes, but I had a lot more to say."
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great exercise, right? That's a great exercise as an actor, and you get to make that relationship with the directors so they know you can act. They got to see you perform all of that. So that's really wonderful. Not only have you had these opportunities, but you've been Emmy nominated. Tell us about that.
Yes, this is my second one in a row. Um, First one was for Nesting Clubhouse, like the general show, everyone. Unfortunately, we didn't win, but this year, got the show didn't get nominated, but I got nominated for one of the scene or interviews of last year. Um, I got nominated for the diversity, equity, and inclusion category, and it was an interview with Masataka Yoshida, and he actually gave me his batting gloves right here.
Oh, wow.
So, and then I was at the 46th Emmy Award
Wow.
for the first one.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
How
much.
how did how did you feel conducting that interview?
So nervous. Oh my gosh, so nervous. But he was really nice. I did it perfectly, and he actually just gave me his batting gloves and signed a ball for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Has there been any other interviews too that you've been like, wow, so starstruck and excited for?
Yes. Lenny Donardo, Fred Lynn, and Manny Del Carmen. All three of them baseball players. All three of them very famous,
Hmm.
and those are the people I've gotten to interview slash speak to on show.
That's great. And that's NESN Clubhouse. So this is primarily the Red Sox, or it's all Boston sports?
It's primarily just baseball,
Okay.
but yeah, we're at Fenway a lot and all over.
Hmm.
Like I've been to New Hampshire before, and I've also gone to like a Woo Sox game.
Hmm.
Uh,
Now, are any of these legendary players teaching you some tricks of the trade?
yes, Manny Del Carmen and Lenny DiNardo taught me how to pitch better, which generally helped with my baseball season. So I did much better. And then I became an outfielder. So, I greatly appreciated their advice and help. And it was so cool to even just meet and speak to them.
No, that's fantastic. We're very proud of your accomplishments. And you're a young man growing up in the Boston area. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about the opportunities that you've had so far, growing up here? Or do you want to go to LA one day and spread your wings over there? Like, what do you have any hopes and dreams for yourself as far as that? Like where you
Yeah.
want to go?
So it's literally just whatever gets me first.
Yeah.
So if I get like a giant movie role in, I don't know, Paramount Studios or something like that, I'm going. I'm not
Yeah.
rejecting that. Yes, that would make my life. But if I don't get anything, but I'm still getting movie roles, yeah, I'll keep acting. Boston area, it's great. I'm fine with either of those options.
Yeah. And of all the things that you've done so far, because you've done modeling and hosting and acting, you're also a young pilot, and you do sports and band. So of the things that you've had a chance to do so far, like what's your favorite? What's been your favorite experience? What are you most excited about?
Um, I want to say flying because it's a
Yeah.
certain experience being the one in control of the plane. So
Hmm.
it's not like you're sitting in the back of an airliner listening to five crying children. You're in the front and you're having so much fun, and yeah, it's so cool. The worst part of it is, for me, is when I actually get back on the ground
Hmm.
because that's the most anxiety producing part, and
Yeah.
just generally the flight is coming to an end, and I don't want it to end.
Oh, so do you see yourself as the next Harrison Ford? You're going to be a pilot and a movie star and all of the above?
Yeah, if once again, whatever gets me first.
Whatever gets you first. That's right. You follow the opportunities. Um, that's wonderful. If you had uh, one piece of advice for other kids who kind of want to do the same thing, what would that be?
Consistency. Be consistent, get connections, try to make every single shoot. If as you do, keep going, be reliable. People will notice you. Trust me, they will notice you. They'll give you better jobs. They'll give you like more recommendations, and you'll be up there.
That's great. Jaden Onwuakor, thank you so much for joining us here on the Hub on Hollywood. We can't wait to see more of your accomplishments, as I'm sure there will be more as the years go on. So we will keep checking in with you. Super proud of you, dude. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
A big thank you to Jaden for joining us on the Hub on Hollywood. Now, for our next segment, we are stopping by the Capitol Theater in Arlington. I had the pleasure to have the owner of Capitol Theater and the Somerville Theater, Richard Freeman, show me around the nearly 100-year-old cinema, along with marketing director Elizabeth Orrego and Frank Euro with NRG Tree.
Let's show you the theater.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay? This theater will be celebrating its 100th anniversary next year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. And we've owned and operated them for 46 years. I'm the second generation.
Oh, that's incredible.
There's a picture of it in 1933. So this is the original theater as it was when it opened in 1925. And what we've done over the years is take an approximately 1,500 seat single screen theater and modified it into 6 screens so that in the era of multiplexing, there would be a lot more films that people could see instead of just being limited to one film per week or two. So that was an adjustment to how the market changed back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. And so is this theater number one? Or?
This is theater number 1, yes.
Is this reserved for the biggest movie that's out during the week? Or?
Exactly. The biggest movie will be played in this cinema, and we have other ones of different sizes.
Which one's now playing in this one?
Challengers is moving to it today. Challengers opens today,
okay.
so that's why. What's Civil War now? It's Challengers, and so the Capitol also hosts a bunch of different film festivals as well. So the Arlington International Film Festival will come over and take over the theater. We have another film festival happening next month as well. So we like to have a lot of community events happening here, and we also have late night concerts after movies. So there's a lot of things happening to help keep it part of the Arlington neighborhood. Because I don't know if Richard hadn't got a chance to get into this. Every neighborhood used to have a movie theater, and over time that changed as communities changed, as habits changed, and so not every neighborhood has a theater. But the Arlington Capitol is one of those neighborhood theaters, and we want to make sure people can still keep coming to it and keep enjoying it. And we've evolved over time And our next evolution is obviously what's on the roof.
That's awesome.
As part of the versatile utility of community movie theaters, we have a lot of birthday parties and rental events here. And I want to show you our special birthday party room.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
One of three.
that's
We have
huge.
3 birthday party rooms.
Very nice.
So yeah, imagine being a little kid and for your birthday, you get to have a private screening with you and your friends with food and cake and candy and ice cream and a movie on the big screen.
And popcorn, of course.
And popcorn, of course. How could I forget popcorn? With real butter, of course.
Of course.
And so everyone loves the birthday parties. It's been a huge hit. We've been doing them for years.
And is this reserved only for kids, or can someone like myself, who's a big movie buff, can like?
You can have a party
You
here,
can
too.
completely rent out the different theaters to have your own party, and people will actually do. If someone has an independent movie and they want to do a private screening for themselves and their friends, they can rent out different theaters for that as well. Some folks will also do a big public premiere, and we partner with them on those things as well. So depends on what people want to do. We're very flexible, but we try to be a part of the neighborhood community and the film community.
I'm gonna try to put this like a hint to my wife, like, hey, in Arlington, the birthday party. I hear the movie seems pretty cool over there. No, this is awesome. This
Think
is
of it, James. 20 kids in your living room smushing ice cream on the couch, on the floor, or at the Capitol Theater with people cleaning up after you, and the kids having a great time.
All right, where's next
All
on
right.
the tour, Richard?
Okay, let me
It's
just
your
turn off the lights unless anybody wants to bust a move.
No, I think we're good.
I'll say that for later.
Yeah.
This theater and Cinema 3 were the back part of the main theater, which sloped up gradually to the back of the building. What we did is we divided the whole theater in half and dug down and put in 2 smaller theaters. This is about 130 seats.
And you're saying,
140
Richard, this
seats.
is in the era of multiplexing?
Yeah.
Right, and so, at that time, that was something that was saving historic theaters.
Exactly.
Right? So it's funny because people think of it now, and it's like, oh, you closed the balcony or did this, that, or the other thing. But at the time, that's what helped keep the theaters going.
Without that, hundreds or maybe thousands of theaters just closed because they couldn't compete with the multiplexes that were taking over the industry. So in order to adjust to the market, this is what we had to do. But it was very important for us to preserve the character, the architecture, the design of the original theater. That's why we made sure to keep the most important part of the theater, namely the front. So, but these have the same theme as far as design is concerned.
No, I love it. Whatever it takes to keep these things open.
There are not many privately owned neighborhood theaters left, and we're one of the few around.
You also play some of the classics.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
We have classic series.
Yeah, we're wrapping up 2 repertory film series this weekend. So we had Capital Crimes, and it was a bunch of our different favorite crimes and criminals movies, and we have 7 playing. And then we had a series called Good for Her. You could take that however you wanted it. We have Serial Mom wrapping up that one, I believe, this weekend as well. So we'll sometimes show silent films here, and we like to have a strong repertory program. So it's a nice combination of new releases and classic films.
Have you folks upgraded to full digital, or is there any reels back here?
Yeah.
Full digital?
Full
Yeah.
digital here.
Yeah. That had to be done.
Yeah.
We did that back in, I think it was 2009 already, when the first digital wave took over. We installed our digital cameras at just in time to get Avatar. I mean, we were still working to get it up and running, literally minutes before the film was to come on, because it was brand new to the industry, and we had to deal with that. But would you like to see the projection, the cameras that did?
Yeah, if you have time.
These are digital projectors, and in Cinema we can show 3D as well. So
Digital makes it a little more efficient, but we love film projection, and so film projection is also a kind of a primary focus at the Somerville Theater. So our sister theater, the Somerville, has an incredible projection system, 35 millimeters, 70 millimeters, one of the best screens in the in New England, if not the country, and that's a bit of a different experience, but we try to capture both elements of that. But that is quite a, all those reels, I think we were doing a different, we had a different discussion. It was, one reel is 50 pounds. So if you're changing 7 reels over the course, how many times are you lifting 50 pounds to change the reels? So that's quite the effort.
Yeah. The last time I was at the Somerville Theater was for the showing of The Holdovers when they had Alexander Payne do the Q&A over there. And so I love the fact that you folks were able to do the 35 millimeter film. And so
35 millimeter, 70 millimeter, 4K. That we'll have you over there sometime, and you can definitely take a look there as well. I mean, both of these theaters are just they're really special, and I think we're lucky that Richard's family has been stewards of them for so long, because if they didn't step in and save them, I don't know where they'd be at this point. So all film lovers are very lucky to have, these 2 theaters, and as, people who are film lovers in this area know, we have a wealth of movies and movie theaters in our area. It's almost like there's so much that we have to choose from, and that's a blessing for us. And so it's I think when you go to other places and you realize there aren't these types of theaters, there aren't options like we have. It's you see how lucky we are. It makes me happy. I get all smushy about it, but
makes me happy too.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for showing me this place too.
I think in Cinema 1 we might have a 35 millimeter projector as well as if you want to see it. I think we don't we have a...
That I don't know. We can double check.
It's right here next. Yeah.
Yeah, we can pop in.
Okay.
I know.
This way. And this is how the film is assembled on this rack system. It's spliced, taped together, and then it runs off of this system. Instead of having to switch reels like in the old days, they'd have an intermission, and they'd have 2 projectors. They'd put a new reel on the other projector. This feeds by these spools and is projected onto the screen, and then gets rewound on this disc system.
I love it. Magic of cinema.
Yeah. So here's the film. That's the movie.
So cool.
Yeah.
I know when I don't know if they had an issue at the Somerville Theater, but when Oppenheimer was coming out and they were throwing out the rolls of film, like it was like the longest film roll in history, something like that.
Well, Oppenheimer was Christopher Nolan, right?
Yeah.
That was 70 millimeter, and he insisted that the movie play first in 70 millimeter theaters, and we're one of the few in the country. So it comes in huge, heavy boxes because it's twice as wide. See, this is 35 millimeter wide. Imagine double that. It's just double the weight. And it comes in huge steel cans. So
digital projection's more of a science, and 35 millimeter and 70 millimeter projection's more of an art.
Of an art, yeah.
More of an art, and weightlifting.
Exercise.
Yeah.
Here's my dad. He owned the theater. He acquired the theater in 79. He just passed a year and a half ago.
And the goal is to keep it in the family?
Of course. So my dad loved movies, but we didn't own movie theaters, and he wasn't in the business. He had a mortgage on this building, a second mortgage, and the guy who owned the building defaulted on his mortgage to the bank. So basically my dad was forced to buy the building so that his mortgage wouldn't be wiped out, his second mortgage. So we were standing on the corner in the winter there. They had an auctioneer's sale, foreclosure sale. Bought the building, and he turned to me and he said, "Now what do we do?" I said, "We're going to run this There was apartments here in this part of the building, or apartments in the building behind us. They're connected. This is the movie theater. So let's do it, Dad. So we did it. We started.
46 years later, not a bad run.
We're still doing it.
So you probably lost track of all the number of movies you've seen personally here.
I used to come here as a kid and watch movies. So it's been part of the growing up experience, and now it's taking up every day.
Well, you're doing the Lord's work, keeping this place alive and active.
Well, you know, now that you mentioned the spiritual aspect of it, I think there is something to that, James.
So we're going next.
We're going up.
Up.
So, if you can imagine, this was the lobby for the balcony, and there was an opening here, right in the middle of the floor, where you could look down and see below. And people would come out during intermission and smoke, if they weren't smoking in the movie. But if you look at that mural there, that is an Art Deco style mural that was painted by a famous artist from Boston who painted a lot of the movie theater houses in downtown Boston, painted murals on the walls there. And he did this one. When we opened the theater again after we remodeled it, we found this gentleman. If we come back to the office, I'll show you an article with his picture. He was an old man at the time when we brought him back here to touch up this painting. He got up on a little step ladder, an old Italian gentleman with his tie and his nice sports jacket, and was touching up the painting. It was very touching to have somebody come back who was involved in the original, work to make this a beautiful community theater. So that we were very careful to preserve, and we tried to preserve as much as we could to keep the original flavor, while making it much more relevant to the market, where people could see a lot of different movies, and keep it financially or economically viable.
Mm-hmm. All right, before we continue on to our tour of the Capitol Theater, for those listening, I just want to paint a picture of what we are doing right now. We are climbing up a steep fold-out ladder in one of the cinemas that connects to another set of steep steps before making our way onto the rooftop. It was, a little hairy at times, but, just keep that in mind. Okay, back to the tour.
Let's go up.
Onward and upward.
Frank, I'm going to ask you to do the honors. Pull that down, please.
Okay.
It's like going into your grandmother's attic.
This is a real adventure.
Oh, yeah. This is pretty new. The way we used to get up here was through this hatch. We had to put a ladder here, open the hatch, and climb. It's pretty hairy. Okay, this is.
See, you're smart. You got a helmet on.
Yeah.
He's prepared.
Listen, when he falls 4 stories, that's not gonna help. God forbid.
All right. Let me know when it's good to come up.
It's good to come up.
All right.
You next? All right. Always an adventure here.
Oh, wow. That was really cool.
Wasn't it?
That's incredible. Okay, so
Frank is used to this kind of thing. This is nothing for him.
A pro, Frank the pro.
And you've never seen this.
I have not seen this installation yet.
So,
But really quick, before you describe
Yes.
that, describe what do we just do right now?
What we did was we climbed up through the ceiling and roof of Cinema 4 to get to the roof. That's the only access up here. But it was pretty accessible, wasn't it?
It was very accessible, though I do admit it was you have to make sure you have good grip and footing placement.
Yes.
But yeah, very cool.
Put it this way, we're not going to be doing a lot of tours up here.
I got the exclusive. Excellent.
As you'll see, these large air conditioning units are heating and air conditioning, and these are what consume a lot of energy, which is why Frank's company, Energy Tree, solved our problem with our electricity costs.
More stairs, more ladders. Are you regretting them here now?
So I feel much more comfortable with this ladder than the one that we just came up for the first one. That one was a little more narrow and steep for my comfort level, but this looks like you're going to dive into a pool, so I feel very safe.
All right, let me hook up right here.
Famous last words.
Could have asked better weather. Not so nice up here when you're...
No, this is a clear... We have one tiny, teeny cloud.
Yeah. When there's a nor'easter and you're up here, it's not pleasant.
Oh, I bet. This is a great view.
Anyway, I was saying, before Frank is going to say some things, these 5 HVAC units, they operate on gas during the winter to provide heat and electricity in the warm months to provide air conditioning. And you can, this is a brand new unit here. It's a high efficiency unit. Those 4 there are, we've kept them going for about 35 years, maybe 40 years. Those 4. They're not very efficient. They consume a lot of energy. So that's when we decided we had to do something about that, and we were connected with Energy Tree by our bank, Harbor One Bank, my banker. And they came in, they did an analysis, they prepared a proposal to show us how much power we could produce and what the array would be. And as you can see, we've used every possible square foot here for power generation with these units. And they estimated that we could produce 100% of our electricity at this theater with an excess to basically the surplus to export to the other theater. And we got our first electric bill, which is right here. And the production was verified that, in fact, and it opened. These things came online. These units came online March 21st, and March was not the best month because there was a lot of storms, as you recall, cloudy, rainy. Despite that, we're right on target to produce the amount of annual kilowatt hours that Energy Tree projected. So we are on our way to produce be totally self-sufficient in producing our electricity here and to export the surplus to the other theater.
And so how it works when, say it is cloudy, rainy, then that's when you pull from the grid again?
I'm going to let Frank talk about the technical aspects of that because I'm just a movie theater operator.
Yeah, okay, so Frank...
He's the expert.
Frank, well, let's first start with, we'll get to that, but let's start with what we're looking at right now.
So yeah, in many cases, a lot of clients will just put panels on that are adequate for the facility, but he understands the benefit of having a system that's larger than necessary because he can actually share the energy with another facility that he has. So, as you can see, he's using every inch of space that's allowable, right? The areas where you see where there's no panels are by code. You have to have certain setbacks from the edge. You have to have certain access areas so you can service the equipment. Those are areas you can't use, but every area that could be used is being used here, and it's effectively generating more power than he can use here and supplementing Somerville.
That's incredible. Are there many other movie theaters with solar panels like this in our region?
I don't know many, I'll be honest with you. I think the only one that I was able to find is there's one in Connecticut, and that was sort of a countrywide search. I did a little bit of research on that when I heard about the project. There's a couple of small portable theaters that are solar powered, but as far as standing cinemas, this is one of, I'll say, probably 3 in the country.
That's awesome.
And it's the only one that I know of, actually, that produces more power than they consume.
Excellent. Well, let's see. Yeah, anything I may be forgetting to ask that you think our listeners...
You're very good at asking the right questions.
You are very good.
You really asked all the right questions.
I just think this is a really interesting way to invest in a piece of this country and this town's history. You know what I mean? To think that, a 100-year-old theater is now getting powered by the sun is, I don't know, it's pretty awesome. It makes me really happy to work here. It makes me really happy to be able to come and see movies here.
That's amazing. Yeah, anybody who's pro solar power, they should come here and spend their money.
Absolutely.
Another good sales pitch right there for them.
We're gonna flog that, not plug it, flog it.
And a big thank you to Richard, Frank, and Elizabeth for showing me around the Capitol Theater and its rooftop. It was amazing. Be sure to stop by this place because not only is it a great place to catch the latest movie, but it also has awesome, delicious hand-scooped ice cream, some alcoholic beverages if you're into that, and some pretty good popcorn with real melted butter. You can also check out the sister cinema, the Somerville Theater. Also, a big thank you to Jaden Onwuakor for stopping by the Hub on Hollywood to talk about his role in Challengers and his blooming acting career. Thank you so much. I'm James, and we will see you next week on the next episode of the Hub on Hollywood. Bye.